Hello, citizen of Grosse Île, Grosse Île citizens. Good afternoon. Euh, tout ce live va être en anglais pour les citoyens de la Grosse Île. Je vous invite à partager à vos amis anglophones à travers le Québec parce que ce qui se passe à Grosse Île n'est pas étranger à ce qui peut se passer ailleurs au Québec. Donc, ce qu'on va faire, c'est qu'on va faire un résumé d'un article du journal Le Radar. Dear citizens of Grosse Île, I hope you're going to be able to listen at that in a near future. That's going to help you to understand what's happening right now at your city council. So let me just bring up this article of the Journal Le Radar was published lately, just last Friday. So if you want, you can get a copy of the Journal Le Radar. But we're going to see how newspaper can mislead people because it's clearly misleading people, this article. And, everything starts from a point, and we will discuss about that point where everything starts because they like to play victims, those people from city council or the city manager. They like to play victim. They like to say that they are elect and they can do whatever they want. That's not true. That's clearly not true. Citizens have their words. They can put their words at the city council meetings. There is provision in the law for question period. There is provision in the law where you can make a complaint to Commission municipale du Québec or Ministère des Affaires municipales. So let's go and bring up this article, and we're going to go through each and every paragraph of the article so that will help you to understand better what really happened. So let me just put that for me, and we're going to read it in French, and I'm going to try to do a translation as best of my knowledge. So this article was written by Hélène Fauteux that I never saw. So maybe Mr. Turbide, Raphael, decide to take a break because he cannot make, obviously, article who, brought up things where people can learn something about their municipality. But when you read that, it's kind of a cover-up. So, le climat politique tendu, exacerbé par la campagne de désinformation. They said that you have a political climate which is very tense, and they said that everything's coming from disinformation from the social media. And they said because of that, the mayor, Joy Davy, decided to resign. So let's look the fact now more than the words, because that's affirmation that cannot supported by any proof in this article. So they just put, an affirmation right here, and they try to make sure that the readers doesn't look over and just take the word disinformation. So, which is not that. So let's go back to square one. So at one point in time, Mrs. Joy Davy, in April of 2024, decided to propose a bylaw at the Communauté Maritime, or Maritime Community, if you prefer. What was this bylaw? This bylaw was for the Archipelago Pass that create two things: a fund for garbage collecting, letting you think that you're going to save a lot of taxes, which is not true, and a fund to create a regional park. So everything starts from that point, nothing else. So if today Joy Davy decides to resign, it's because of her own political mistake. No one tell her to brought up that thing. And moreover, She hid that fact from you folks from Grosse Île. And what is the regional park? Regional park was start about 20 years ago. They start discussion about regional park. And at one point in time in April 2024, your mayor, Joy Davy, as a member of maritime community, proposed that. Nothing else but the Archipelago Pass. And what was the outcome of Archipelago Pass? You citizens of Grosse Île, tenants or landlord or owner of property, like a house or summer house, you have no other choice to identify yourself when you exit the island from by the boat, the ferry boat, or by the aircraft. You have no choice. So that was one of the points that trigger all the campaign. And more than that, everyone who's going to access the island between May 1st, I think, and October 14th will have to pay $30 to access the island. When they get out, they have to prove that they pay their $30. That means all your family members who live on the mainland who have to come and visit you will have to pay for a funeral, for a wedding, to come and cut their grass on their land, or to come and visit you. So that's trigger the battle between the citizens. But Grosse Île citizens was ignored till a point where someone from the Magdalene Island city came to your city council to inform you of what's happening. But not only that, I made several live on the subject. And they call about désinformation. So when they say that, Mrs. Hélène Fauteux attacked me and all the people who intervene on the social media. But I sent to Mrs. Fauteux from that journal Le Radar to prove me that anything I said was untrue, was a lie, and she will never be able to prove that. So she attacked my reputation. And she attacked the reputation of all the citizens who disclosed that information. Journal de Radar hide that fact to citizens. Clearly hide that fact. Without that battle, no one knows, and Archipelago Pass is in force. But what your mayor doesn't tell you as well, maybe she doesn't know. Maybe it was hid to your mayor. We don't know. But early in 2024, or if you prefer, at the end of 2023, Government of Canada indicate that they don't want to have point of control at the airport. And apparently, the people who operate the ferry boat said we don't want to improve that at our port of exit. But everyone knows that the mayor hid that fact to maybe all the table of the city council. But there is a truth. Your mayor proposed that. She's the one who proposed it. No one else. Yes, she was seconded by someone else, but she proposed that Archipelago Pass. That's what's bring the problem, and that's why she decided to resign. We're gonna come back on a certain point where you folks decide to behave and act in your own community. Let me go through that article, and when I'm coming back on that, I will let you know. So then, et la conseillère Joanne Clark à poursuivre leur mandat au sein du conseil municipal. L'impact de cette situation ne cessant de prendre de l'ampleur sur la réputation et leur famille. So what Mrs. Fauteux said right now here, she said that the fact that you talk regarding the fact that you don't want the regional park, affect the reputation of the mayor and all the 3 city councilors who decide to resign. So now she accused you, citizens, Mrs. Fauter from Journal Le Radar accused every citizen who decide to go see their neighbor of attacking the reputation of those 3 city councilors and the mayor, which is untrue, which is a lie, which is false. She just wants to intend that it was misinformation from social media, first, and second, that you attack the reputation. So both are affirmation without any proof. So now the Journal Le Radar attack the citizens. This newscast attack the citizens who decide to put their words out, who decide to go and meet their neighbor regarding what's happening at the city hall. And then when you decide to go at the city hall to ask questions, your mayor clearly declined any answer. So who's in fault here? You citizens or your representative? So at this point in time, there is 3 members who remain in power. Those 3 members should also resign for the same reason, because they all hide that fact. When they all approve the mayor not to answer questions, they don't even themselves ask questions. For example, Mrs. Clark, the one who she's pro-maire, didn't ask any questions. She just continued that, theater piece, That's exactly what happened. Les 2 élus ont choisi de remettre leur démission le jeudi 3 octobre dans le cadre d'une réunion extraordinaire. Celle-ci s'est tenue devant une salle, pour ainsi dire, vide. What they mean here, that the mayor and 2 other city councilors decide to resign at the day of extraordinary session of the council, which people doesn't know. You know what is a regular session? It's always the same date, the same day, each and every month. But this one was hide. They didn't want people in the room to ask questions. They just want to hide again that fact. But they knew that fact will brought up by this article here, who start with 2 lies. You have to understand that. They just want the reader to think that citizen was bad and they lied to other citizens, which is not true. So Radar clearly attack the probity of the citizens and mine in the same time. S'ajoute à ces 2 démissions celle des conseillères Katrina Keating et de Marlène Boudreau. Madame Keating a officiellement quitté ses fonctions le 1er septembre. Dernier, sa lettre de démission pour des raisons personnelles avait été approuvée en assemblée extraordinaire quelques jours plus tôt, le 26 août. Again, when Mrs. Keating decide to resign, they do that in a special meeting. So they want you not to know. And Marlène Boudreau decide to resign at this one. But she has no choice. She could not stand, she could not stop, she could not continue, because she was in default of assisting at more than 3 sessions of the council. And every member of the city council knew that fact. And they accept that illegal things happen in your city hall. A city councilor cannot miss more than 3 meetings unless there is a motion or a resolution approving the fact that she can be out for good reasons. It was not done. But they tried to let things that the city council forget, but who forget that? The city manager should check that and should raise the problem to the city councilor. Did she do so? Do we have proof that she raised that problem? No, I'm sure we have no proof. But there is one thing for sure. There was a complaint drop at the Commission municipale du Québec. And Commission municipale du Québec made their own search and saw that this member of the council, Mrs. Boudreau, missed more than 3 sessions. She missed, in fact, almost 5 sessions at the knowledge of all the rest of the city council who should raise that problem, and at the knowledge of the also city manager, I think it's Mrs. Lemieux. We will come back to her statement that she refused the radar to answer question, and she did answer question to another journalist of the radar, Mrs. Nathalie Deraspe, in a previous article of that Journal Le Radar. So why Mrs. Lemieux decided to decline interview while she gave an interview about in the same time to Radio Canada? That's the question of what's happening in your city council. We have the right to raise those questions. Quant à Mrs. Boudreau, qui s'était notamment absentée pendant plus de 90 jours, d'octobre 2023 à mars 2024, elle a été contrainte de céder son siège la semaine dernière pour vice de procédure. They just clearly mentioned that Mrs. Boudreau stopped to assisting at the City Council from October 2023 to March 2024. Then after that, she came back. She was in default. That was against the law. Le problème, c'est qu'en vertu de la loi sur les élections et les référendums dans les municipalités, le conseil municipal de Grosse Île aurait dû adopter une résolution pour autoriser une prolongation de son congé au-delà du délai prescrit de 3 mois, ce qui a été omis de faire. So clearly, the city manager doesn't do her job here because she's the one who's in charge of the municipality. She's the one who's in charge to check all those details. So she didn't do her job. Clearly, 5 months where Mrs. Boudreau doesn't show up. 5 months at the knowledge of all the city council, including your mayor. So maybe the fact that Commission municipale du Québec was making an inquiry regarding your municipality and the behavior of certain member of the council, maybe that's the reason why some people decide to resign. And I don't understand why all the council did not resign so we can have a new council, because they will call an election. At this time, if you see the title, la Commission municipale du Québec prend en charge la gestion de Grosse Île. What that thing means? It means that during that period, since we have no quorum, the Commission municipale du Québec will take care of your municipality for the normal, things that happen each month, paying bills and everything, and make sure that roadways are maintained and the job is done for the safety of peoples. But all political decisions, like creating a regional park or creating anything that is political decision, will not be done till a new council is in force. Now there is no quorum, so they cannot take any decision. Because to take decision, motion or resolution or bylaw, they need to have a quorum. So, défaut de quorum, that's what it's explained here. Autrement, en raison de ces 4 postes vacants sur le conseil de 7 sièges, la municipalité de Grosse Île se trouve en défaut de quorum. C'est-à-dire qu'elle n'a plus le nombre minimal de conseillers requis pour siéger valablement. Dans ces circonstances, la Commission municipale du Québec lui impose une administration provisoire dirigée par 2 de ses délégués, les avocats Philippe Asselin et Martin Saint-Laurent. La majorité des administrations provisoires se déroulent généralement très bien à distance, nous précise le porte-parole Anne-Julie Lefebvre. Au besoin, selon les enjeux, les membres désignés peuvent se rendre sur place ponctuellement si nécessaire. So what that thing means is they just tell you what I just tell you. Since there was only 3 members left out of 7. There is no quorum, so no decision can be taken. So the commission municipale impose a temporary administration of the city, and those people will do it from distance from Quebec City. And if they need to come in Grosse Île for certain decision, they will come to assist the 3 remaining city councillor, and also the what you call the directeur général, or if you prefer, the city manager. Maître Asselin et Maître Saint-Laurent vont ainsi agir en remplacement du conseil pour assurer le fonctionnement de la municipalité et le maintien des services de Grosse Île. C'est à eux qu'il appartiendra d'adopter les résolutions municipales mensuelles. Leur mandat se poursuivra jusqu'à la tenue d'élections partielles pour combler les postes vacants. Il prendra fin lorsque les nouveaux membres du conseil seront tous assermentés. Donc, le mandat, the mandate of the 2 lawyers who's going to take over for Grosse Île will end the day where the city council is back on track, where there is election and there is new city council member that can behave for the municipality. En principe, l'administration provisoire par les membres désignés de la CMQ, Commission municipale du Québec, ne devrait s'étaler que sur quelques mois, à moins que les circonstances actuelles ne découragent d'éventuelles mises en candidature. So the journalist just said maybe people doesn't want to go and go for that seat, the seat of Mr. Keating. So she make assumption. So she make assumption that people will not go because of the climate. The climate is very good in Grosse Île. The problem is political. Your mayor decide to adopt Archipelago Pass, and the city council approve it. Not by resolution, but that doing nothing doesn't even ask question regarding that fact. So they approve, and they follow the mayor in her descent to the inferno, basically. Nous devrions en avoir une indication lors de la première élection partielle fixée au dimanche 17 novembre afin de pourvoir le siège numéro 4, jusque-là occupé par Katrina Keating. I don't know if the date for put your candidacy is over, but if it's not over, I tell you, go and drop your name for an election and have a seat at the city council, because we need people who's going to behave and work for the people. That's what we need in Grosse Île. So the election's coming. So wake up and take information tomorrow. What is the date to drop your name for the one who wants to go and have a seat at the city council? If there is just one person, it will be elected by default. If there is 2 persons, they will hold an election. So, people of Grosse Île, take in consideration, and I don't know the date, I didn't find out. So, tomorrow morning, first thing, call the city and ask when is the due date to become a candidate. Nécessité démocratique. They talk about democracy. They talk about democracy where a mayor in Grosse Île decided in April to adopt a motion at the maritime community to impose the Archipelago Pass and the obligation for any citizens who wants to quit the island to identify themselves. Creating also a category of citizens and owner. The owner of a land without house have to pay $30 even to come and cut his grass and maintain his property. The person who have a house, a summer house, doesn't have to pay, but he have to identify himself. All those people who have a house or are tenants in the island have to do the same. But not only that, all the people who's going to visit you is going to have to pay $30. Not now, because the city backed off, the community maritime backed off, and the city of Magdalene Island backed off on that, Archipelago Pass. Not for the reason they mentioned. They mentioned that they could not have the permission of Transport Canada. They didn't need the permission of Transport Canada because they can establish a mobile point of control on the road of the airport and a mobile point of control also at the entrance of the ferry boat. They could do that very, very, very easy, but they didn't do it. And they let people think that they're going to have permission one day. Maybe it's possible because, at Dorval Airport, there is many, possibility for, to have a business in there, which is provincial. And provincial collect taxes. Anyhow. But now we're talking about controlling people who's going to take aircraft or boat, which is the right of a person not to identify himself, other than the company who's going to carry him. Doesn't want to identify yourself to the city or anyone the city mentioned. And the worst of that, I think Article 18 of the bylaw proposed that the municipality can abandon its power to any other government. That's exactly what the bylaw was saying. Did your mayor tell you that? No. Did the city manager tell you that? No. Did the city councilor of Grosse Île tell you that? No. Who tell you that? Two citizens of Magdalene Island who one day go to your city council and go in from one store to the other, telling the truth. And me, and doing so with a live on Facebook. But with that article of Mrs. Just a sec, Mrs. Hélène Fauteux, she accused the social media to lie to people without any proof. It was easy for Mrs. Fauteux to take a screen captures to prove that there was misinformation, but she didn't do it. She just wanted you to think that there was. That's what she was doing. So let's go on the rest of the article. So, ce n'est pas évident lorsqu'on travaille pour... non, I'm going too fast now. Cela étant dit, personne à la municipalité de Grosse Île n'a voulu commenter la crise en cours, ni même la mairesse suppléante Nancy Helen Clark ou la directrice générale Carole Lemieux. So no one wants to comment, not even the pro-mayor, Mrs. Clark, which is bad. She should talk on the name of the council, the three remaining one, but she didn't do it. They have all to resign so we can have a general election for new seats. For all the reason I tell you before, they hide those facts or they follow the mayor and the descent to the inferno. So who descend to the inferno? Every member of the council. So, and the directrice générale, she gave an interview to Radio Canada. You're going to hear that. She declined to talk to the local newspaper, but she did talk to the national newspaper. What did that tell you? I just let you answer the questions. So, pour sa part, le maire Antonin Valiquette, though the Mr. Valiquette, the mayor of Magdalene Island, I call it the Valiquette Show, qui préside la communauté maritime, is the president of the maritime community, regroupant les municipalités de Grosse Île, ne cache pas son inquiétude face aux pressions populaires délétères, qui sapent le moral des élus et minent leur capacité à faire leur travail. He's concerned by the fact that citizens exercise their right to drop a complaint to the Commission Municipale du Québec, and their right to question their elect people. In the law, there is a provision that proposes a question period for the citizens or for the participant, if you prefer, because you don't need to be a citizen of the island to ask questions. And don't forget, It's the citizens of Quebec who inform you of that fact, and that's me, who raised your concern, who raised that concern. No one else did it because they didn't see it coming. Because I think in November 2023, the mayor repeat every single word that they repeat on the April 24 when they adopt finally the archipelago pass. No one see that coming unless I see it coming. And why I see it coming? It's because a citizen of Quebec know that fact of what's happening to your place. I do a study and decide to disclose the information to all you folks from Magdalen Island. So that mayor tell you you cannot ask question, you cannot request document, and you cannot make any contestation of their work. What the hell is that? You have, as a citizen of Quebec, the right to ask question, request document, or made a complaint to Commission Municipale du Québec. And why they have that people who raise their concern, it's because of the behavior of those city councillors from Magdalen Island and from Grosse Île. All the concern was raised by their own behavior. It's not your fault. You was just victim of their decision. And they don't calculate themselves the impact of their decisions. And today they said that people could not ask questions. No, you can't ask questions and keep going asking questions. You do it clearly asking questions. You don't make any, threat or any comments, disobliging comments, but you can ask questions when they take decision who impact your own life. When that's impacting, for example, in Magdalen Island, their tax bill, because that city council raised the tax of the commerçant, which is a business owner, by 33 to 100% and more. That's what they did. They did exactly that. And when he said their moral are down, come on. Give you my own example as a city councillor. I was city councillor in the town of Saint-Bernard-de-la-Colle. At the time of the crisis in Quebec, after March 13, 2020, you remember the coronavirus, problem? I decided to go myself in Sweden in October 2020. So I passed October and November 2020 in Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and Poland to see what's happening in Europe. And what we was living in Quebec was totally different of what we live here in Quebec in Sweden, or the other country I just mentioned, except Poland, who have about the same pattern of Quebec. So because of that, I was a victim of article in a newspaper like Journal de Montréal. And they used that article to make a motion to ask my resignation, which I didn't offer it, because I'm strong enough to continue my mandate for 2 more years, and I present myself to the election of 2021. If the mayor of Magdalen Island is not enough strong to support the pressure of his own decision, he have to resign himself and stop to put the problem on the back of the citizen. And it's exactly what the Mrs. Photo does. She just wants the citizen to feel cheap. That's enough. And I think Journal Le Radar, it's an organism of communication of the municipality now, because they don't play their role of the fourth powers, protecting the citizens against decision of elect people. And God knows how many bad decisions they made in Montreal, in Quebec City, and in Quebec, and entire Quebec, and entire Canada now. Just thinking of the problem of immigration, for example, or degradation of all the infrastructures, or the raise of rents, the raise of property, the raise of tax for no reasons. Everything putting on the back of the COVID. Anyhow, they prefer to call you complotist instead to set the truth. They prefer to lie by writing in this article when she say, and we're going to go back to that point, when she said that there was disinformation, that's clearly what she said here. And that it affect the reputation of the elect people, accusing citizens of doing so, disinformation and attacking reputation. She does that by writing, so Journal Radar should make an apology, and Mrs. Photo should make an apology to all citizens of Grosse Île, including myself. Donc, the mayor keep going and saying in bracket, ce n'est pas évident lorsqu'on travaille pour nos citoyens et que le feedback qu'on reçoit est tout le temps extrêmement négatif malgré toutes les peines qu'on se donne. Comment-il? End of quote. So he said he worked for people, but people cannot express themselves. He cannot receive, adversary feedback. Will you approve the fact that you're going to have to identify yourself when you get out of the island? Will you approve that your friends have to pay to come and visit you? Will you approve the regional park? No. So you have the right to make contestation. So there is a fly who just bothered me now. Okay. So he said, c'est normal, c'est humain. Et pourtant, quand les gens se lancent, non, quiconque baigne dans un climat hostile dans son milieu de travail va regarder ailleurs, c'est normal, c'est humain. No, when you decide to propose your candidacy as a mayor or as a city councilor and you're elect, you have to understand that people can criticize you for your own decision. And that's exactly what happened. Your mayor was criticized for her own decision. She was not criticized because she wear such a dress or put some jewelry or drives such a car. She was criticized for her own behavior as a mayor who adopt Archipelago Pass, who decide to propose it. That she's the one who proposed it with other members of the city council. So that's normal. When I was city councilor, many times at the caucus, I said to other city councilor, we might just hold on for that decision. Maybe it's going to affect our reputation. We should think about it. We should ask a legal opinion sometimes. And most of the time, city councilor listen at me. People doesn't know that fact, but many mistake was avoided because of my intervention, or the intervention of another city councilor that I know in Saint Bernard. So that's the work of a city councilor or a mayor, to face at one point the judgment of citizens on their own decision, political decision, and political decision of the mayor and the city councilor of Magdalen Island to raise the tax tremendously, creating a big gap between ordinary citizens and business owner. That was a political decision that people decide to make contestation. They even drop a complaint to Commission Municipale du Québec. They still wait for an answer. But as you know, Jonathan Lapierre was at the cabinet of the Minister of Municipal Affairs, as you know. So if the mayor or city councilor cannot afford or cannot fight or cannot, make good decision, they have to face the population. And it's not because you elect them that you keep confidence all the way. You have the right to make contestation at one point to make enough pressure for those people to quit. And that's perfectly normal. What's happening now with the Liberal Party, there is 30 members of the Liberal Party who ask for Mr. Trudeau to resign, to step out. So if it's normal for Liberal Party, it's normal in municipal affair too. It's even worse in municipal affair because that's a close government to people. So that being said, Mr. Valiquette has to understand that his role is to work for people and think twice before taking stupid actions like they did for the Archipelago Pass on false pretense. Les élus municipaux, ça en prend. Yes, we need municipal elect people. C'est nécessaire dans notre système démocratique. Yes, but in our democracy, there is the right of the people to make contestation. In our democracy, the role of the media, which is le radar, is to behave as a for powers to protect citizens against political decisions, to disclose information like they did for the Commission Charbonneau or any other commission that Quebec have. Commission sur la viande avariée or la SECO, etc. The journalists should behave independently. And here, clearly, they tried to say that citizens or people was lying on social media, which is not true. C'est nécessaire dans notre système politique et administratif de gestion du territoire. What a nice expression. So, M. Valiquette note que ce phénomène d'hostilité croissante à l'égard des élus qui se manifeste parfois par des comportements injurieux et intimidants a mené à la démission de 800 des 8000 élus des dernières élections municipales québécoises de 2021. So he's just saying that because people, get mad, which is normal because they take stupid decisions. Look, for example, Saint-Basile-le-Grand. If you don't know that municipality, that's a municipality who's going to hold the company called Norvolt from Sweden. That municipality pay ticket and trips to some city councilor to go in Sweden. For what reason, we don't know. I did a request to the information to the municipality. I'm waiting their answer, who should drop before the 30th of this month. But do you think in Norvolt everything was kosher? In Norvolt, Quebec government decided to just avoid BAP, Bureau d'audience publique en environnement, which was going to take 18 months. They did worse than that. They done inquiries to the financial strait of Norvolt. And now we know the truth. Norvolt is in great financial problems. Even one of their own society go bankrupt in Sweden. And we will not be able to criticize what the councillor of that city does to have a trip in Sweden, how much it costs to the taxpayer, and why they need to go there, why they accept to change the zoning, why they accept to build that factory on floodable zone, why they accept that the reject go on the Richelieu River. We will not criticize that. We will not criticize the fact that they adopt Archipelago Pass. People cannot complain of what's happening in Montreal now, which is traffic jam all the time. People cannot complain about the medical system in Quebec. What the hell is that? If city councillor cannot stand the fort, they have to resign. And maybe 50% of the actual city councillor and throughout Quebec are not fit for the job. You have your proof in your own city council. They was not fit for the job. They could not even attend. Mrs. Boudreau could not even attend for 5 months. We don't know the reason. Maybe she have her own reason. I will not discuss that. I will just discuss the fact that she was not there for 5 months, that the city manager doesn't disclose that, and that the city councilor just doesn't care about it. So for that reason, he pursued in saying, il a même fallu que le gouvernement Legault légifère avec l'adoption de la loi 57 pour protéger les élus municipaux et favoriser l'exercice de leurs fonctions sans entrave. There was no blockade from the citizen. The citizen just disclosed the fact that they was facing the archipelago pass. And clearly, Law 57, it's against the Charter of Rights, who give you the right of free expression and give you the right of association with other citizens. And that brings me to the fact that one fact was hidden in that whole article is a really important fact. You remember I tell you that at the beginning? That most important fact is the fact that the Mrs. Lemieux forgot to say to citizens that there was not only few peoples, but almost 100% of yourselves signed a petition against the regional park. So it's not a small group of persons who voice their things. There's people who sign a document, put their name, their addresses, knowing their neighbors, knowing their family, knowing everyone. More than close to 100% of citizens of Grosse Île doesn't approve the decision of the mayor. And that's the reason why she resigned too, because that petition was brought to the Communauté Maritime a month ago. Yes. And who complained about it at the city council? Did Mrs. Nancy Clark did? Absolutely not. She approved it. Because in saying nothing, you approve it. You don't say anything, you approve it. So, en cours de mandat, on peut critiquer, on peut questionner, on peut donner notre avis et les élus peuvent justifier leur choix. Mais le mot d'ordre dans tout ça, c'est le respect, insiste-t-il. So the mayor tried to implement that people have a lack of respect. I invite you to listen all city council from April the 4th to today and find me a place where one of the people who go to the microphone and ask question was disgraceful to the mayor. So mayor tried to have you thinking that there was happening. So without you listening at those meetings, you think he was saying the truth. That's an half truth. Yeah, there is some people in the room who was mad, okay? They just voiced their voice and asked for resignation, which is a total right. If MP from Ottawa, House of Common members decide to ask Trudeau to step down, why citizens could not do the same, Mr. Valiquette? Why citizens cannot do the same? Tell me. And inferring that there was disrespectful, it's like that woman, you know, Maïka Thibodeau, decided to brought out that round, that white round, you know, talking about respect. She was not talking about respect. She was clearly targeted people who asked questions, inferring that there was disrespectful, which was not true. Have you seen Shani Thériault disrespectful? Have you seen Jackie Poirier disrespectful? Have you seen Mrs. Bourgeois disrespectful? Or Mr. Bourgeois? Or the doctor, you know, that chiropractor disrespectful? Have you seen that? Have you seen those people who go at the microphone being disrespectful? That's exactly what the mayor inferring right now. That's exactly what he's saying right now. It's not because there is some people in the back of the room who was yelling that those people who asked the real question, where the mayor never answered, by the way, clearly answer. And we have that scandal of the Capitale de l'Est, where on the false pretense, they decide to close it and spend the money of the Quebec taxpayer and the money of the Magdalene Island taxpayer to build a new room because they don't maintain it and they don't maintain their own garage. So now they want us to cover their mistake, and if we're not happy, just elect other people. No. We can complain right now, and we can make complaint to Commission Municipale, and we can ask people to get out of those city council. That's the right of anyone to do so. If I repeat, Liberal Party member of Parliament in Ottawa can ask Trudeau to step down. You citizens of Grosse Île can ask your mayor to step down before the end of her mandate. And that's what she did, because she acknowledged that she made mistake. A terrible political mistake. And all the other city council member was following her in her descent to the inferno. So that's what being said. Donc, Antonin Valiquette profite de l'occasion pour saluer l'implication des élus démissionnaires de la Grosse Île. Yeah, he will say that there was great people. Yes, because they follow his path. They decide to go for the archipelago pass. He's responsible for everything, and your mayor, she fall in the trap. What we can say more? So now what we're going to do, we're going to listen at that Radio Canada, and I will let it go and comments. But I think most of you know all can understand what going to be said, and I hope that is good for you to listen at that. So let's go to that things of Radio Canada, where your city manager, Mrs. Lemieux, decide to answer. She doesn't want to answer to that newspaper, Le Radar, but she decided to answer to Radio Canada, and she decided earlier to answer to Le Radar. And I will come back to that article where she said a lot of stupid things. We're going to go back to her saying, and we're going to quote her, because the newspaper quote that person. So let's go to that Grosse Île. So we have to just let...
Général de la municipalité de Grosse Île. Merci beaucoup d'avoir été là ce matin.
So let's start over.
Merci à vous.
Au revoir.
You will have advertisement before, okay? Just to let you know.
8h38,
Oh, maybe
9h38 aux îles de la Madeleine. Et allons-y d'ailleurs aux îles de la Madeleine. Il y a la municipalité de Grosse Île qui sera administrée par la Commission municipale du Québec pour un certain temps. Le Conseil a perdu le quorum à la suite d'une séance extraordinaire hier soir. Dans une publication sur le réseau social Facebook, la municipalité de Grosse Île indique que 4 des 7 postes sont présentement vacants. Et on en parle ce matin avec la directrice générale de la municipalité de Grosse Île.
You see, she was answering question of Radio Canada, but declined to answer your own newspaper on the island.
Carole Lemieux qui est au bout du fil. Bonjour, Madame Lemieux.
Bonjour.
Merci d'avoir répondu à l'appel ce matin. Qu'est-ce qui se passe à Grosse Île? Comment se fait-il? Parce qu'on y va de démission en démission. Là. Ça a commencé au mois d'août avec une conseillère. 3 autres sièges sont devenus vacants hier soir. Qu'est-ce qui arrive?
She asked to Mrs. Lemieux, what's happening in Grosse Île? We have a first, resignation, which was Mrs. Keating, and then after 3 other members, she asked what's happening.
À Grosse Île.
Et en fait, il arrive, je crois, la même chose qui arrive dans...
So what she's going to do, she's going to turn around without answering the question. You're going to see that she answered the exact same word of Mr. Valiquette. So that was all finally prepared by someone else.
Dans plusieurs municipalités du Québec, plus de 800 élus ont démissionné depuis 2021.
Do you know what she said? 800, people decide to resign in Quebec since the 2021 election. So she repeat word after word, the same word of the mayor. So they get prepared to answer questions. So Grosse Île was prepared by the same people who prepared the mayor.
Dans l'actuel mandat, 800 élus ont démissionné au Québec. Donc, je pense que c'est le contexte difficile. On ne se le cachera pas, c'est un secret pour personne. Les élus sont mis à mal par la population et souvent par des gens qui ne sont même pas des citoyens de leur propre municipalité.
Look what she's saying, attacking the people who disclose the important fact of the archipelago pass, which is me. I'm not from the municipality. Who's she attacking without mentioning a name? She attacking me. I don't know any other person who did that. But I want her to tell me what I said was untrue. You know, she wants to put in your mind the fact that people was giving false information. That's exactly what she's trying to do right now. That's exactly what she's trying to do.
Et la pression est forte avec toutes les responsabilités qui ont été transférées.
She said the pressure is high since the government transferred all kinds of responsibility to municipal affair. Come on. They did that 20 years ago. Get over it, and that's your job, Mrs. Lemieux, to do that. So that's not a big deal, but listen carefully at what she was saying, and if you know something about it when I'm going to point it out, I want you to contact me to 514-512-8787. I want you to contact me on any matter that you find not normal in Grosse Île.
Du gouvernement provincial vers la municipalité, et tout ça pour une rémunération dérisoire. Donc, tout.
So she attacking the remuneration of the elect people without saying how much they earn to get there 1 hour a week, 1 hour a month, or 2 at the worst, maybe 3. Think about $40 an hour, or $50, or even $100 an hour per month. We'll see what is their salary. Just go and ask the questions.
Tous ces facteurs-là ensemble font en sorte que ça devient très difficile d'accéder au Québec.
Est-ce que c'est même pas un peu plus difficile pour des petites municipalités comme la vôtre, alors que tout le monde se connaît, quand les invectives arrivent, elles sont plus personnelles?
So they inferring that people are disrespectful without any proof again. They will just put that so that you think if you don't listen at your city council, if you don't go at your city council, that people was disrespectful, but without any proof. That's what we call a clear, free affirmation.
Que jamais aussi.
C'est une chose qui me surprend beaucoup, effectivement, que des gens qui sont voisins, qui sont même, qui ont même des liens familiaux, puissent être aussi durs avec des élus qui, en fait, sont là pour travailler pour eux, pour que la...
She doesn't understand why neighbors or family members criticize elect people. Did they criticize elect people since the last 20 years? Maybe not. But when Archipelago Pass arrived and when you impose original parks coming soon, people said, we don't want it. So she criticized the fact that most likely close to 100% of the population signed a petition. And that's what she didn't say to the newspaper, to that person at Radio Canada. She hid that important fact, really hid that important fact that she's well aware of. She's well aware of that fact.
Municipalité pour que la communauté soit davantage dynamique. Donc, c'est effectivement particulier pour...
Yeah, but it don't work for the community with the Archipelago Pass. She forget to talk what was the reason of that people who raise against their elect people. It's so easy to just make affirmation that people was bad, people was disrespectful, without saying the reason why. So people think that everyone of Grosse Île are stupid people, which you're not.
Pour les petits milieux, encore plus à cause de cette proximité.
Donc, 4 sièges vacants.
So why? Because you're close to your neighbor or you're close to your family, you cannot raise a word. I repeat, she forget an important fact. Most likely, close to 100 persons signed that petitions against the regional park of that creations coming soon.
Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire pour la municipalité? Parce que là, elle sera prise en charge pendant un certain temps par la Commission municipale du Québec. Ça veut dire quoi, ça, pour vous?
Bien, en fait, il faut faire la distinction entre deux choses, l'administration provisoire et la tutelle. Dans le cas de Grosse Île, on parle d'administration provisoire. Donc, il n'y a aucun problème au niveau du fonctionnement administratif, je peux...
So, she's in the beginning of that, thing. She said that it's so hard, although transfer from Quebec is so hard to handle. And now she's saying Commission Municipale come here just to fulfill the gap between the time the people are going to be elected, and there is no administrative problems. So what is true? Is it hard or it's not hard? You have to re-listen that. I'm going to put you the link on the descriptions below.
Je m'exprime ainsi de la municipalité. La tutelle est plus pour ce genre de situation-là où les ressources humaines, les finances ou même le conseil lui-même est dysfonctionnel. Dans notre cas, à nous, c'est vraiment très technique. C'est le fait que si on n'a pas quorum au conseil, bien, aucune décision ne peut être prise par le conseil municipal.
Well, she just repeat what I tell you. The city council cannot take any decision because there is no quorum. So decision will be held and taken by Commission Municipale du Québec, by the two members I just mentioned to you, which was in the article of the Radar.
Donc, ils ne peuvent pas siéger, ils ne peuvent pas faire de résolution, d'adoption.
So they cannot do any resolution or bylaw. Everything is political, will not be done before a new city council is appointed.
Règlement, des choses comme ça. Donc, moi, comme directrice générale, je n'ai plus cet outil pour faire avancer les choses. Certaines décisions doivent absolument être prises par le conseil. Donc, la Commission municipale du Québec vient, en fait, remplacer, si je peux dire, le conseil dans ce type de décision.
Donc, la municipalité n'est pas complètement mise sur pause puisque la Commission municipale du Québec va prendre le relais et pourra prendre des décisions. Est-ce que maintenant, ce sera des décisions qui ressemblent à celles que souhaite...
The decision that the Commission Municipale will take is a clear administrative decision. They will not take any political decision like, for example, buying a new truck, unless it's really necessary. They're going to rent maybe 1 for 2 months, the time the new council arrive. But they will not take those political decisions.
La population, ça, c'est peut-être une autre histoire.
Je vais être très transparente avec vous. Ça fait 11 mois que je suis directrice générale d'une municipalité. C'est une situation très exceptionnelle. Dans le cas des îles de la Madeleine, très exceptionnelle, effectivement. Donc, le quotidien, à quoi il va ressembler, je ne le sais pas encore jusqu'à quel point des personnes déléguées par la commission.
Imagine she's the city manager and she has no clue of what's going to happen with the Commission Municipale du Québec. And she's appointed since only 11 months as a city manager. Was she city manager before? Why we decide to hire someone if she was not before city manager? I don't know. Maybe it's a question to be asked to herself.
Les missions vont s'impliquer dans la gestion. À mon sens, ça va demeurer une gestion des urgences ou des services essentiels. Je ne crois pas qu'on va voir des projets comme on a fait à Grosse Île, comme le parc intergénérationnel ou les loisirs vont être la priorité de la commission.
Oui, c'est ça. Hein? On va s'occuper des dossiers plus généraux, plus faciles à régler pour ce qui est de la micro-gestion.
As you see, the journalist of the national media, which is Radio Canada, doesn't even take times to make research to ask good questions. She has no clue of what Commission Municipale will do. She should have done the research before and asked the question to the city manager after. But since she doesn't do her job herself, how the city manager could know more than her?
Entre guillemets, ce sera peut-être sur pause carrément tout ça. Là.
C'est à voir.
Vous êtes là depuis 11 mois, Carole Lemieux. Vous voyez les élus partir les uns après les autres. C'est quand même beaucoup, 4 depuis à peine 3 mois. Est-ce que ça vous décourage?
Ça ne me décourage pas au niveau des élus. Je crois que les femmes, parce qu'il faut souligner que ce sont toutes des femmes à Grosse Île, je crois que ces femmes-là ont vraiment beaucoup donné.
She said that those women who are a member of the city council, as you know, that's all the city council of Grosse Île is all managed by women. That doesn't change anything to me. A person is a person. If she's a woman or a man, I don't care. The most important thing for a city councilor is to say to the citizens what's happening in their back. Period. Did they do so? The answer is no.
depuis 2021. Il faut savoir que la direction générale était absente pendant 2 ans avant que
Can you imagine that city council, within a time frame of 2 years, they didn't hire a city manager? There was no city manager for almost 2 years at Grosse Île. Why the last city manager resigned? That's the question you should ask to the next city council. Why the city manager resigned, and why the city council didn't appoint a new city manager for a period of 24 months. If they could find Mrs. Lemieux, they could find anyone else. So basically, did the city council did a great job? The answer is no.
j'arrive. Donc, elles ont dû tenir à bout de bras cette municipalité-là. Donc, je suis fière du travail qu'elles ont.
Yes, they hold that on their arm. Yes, of course, one of them, was not there for 5 months. And one of the other missed at least three months too. So basically, that's pure invention to me.
Donc, je suis reconnaissante pour leur implication. Ce qui me décourage plus, c'est justement cette non-reconnaissance du travail extraordinaire qui est fait par certains.
She's discouraged because people complain. So Mrs. Lemieux tell you, shut your mouth and just endure yourself till the new elections. No, they don't do great. They don't hire for 24 months a city manager. They try to do the job of the city managers. One of them was out of the council for 5 months, the other one for at least 3 months. So tell me one thing. Did they do great job? Yes or no? If you look your roadways, for example. Did they do a great job when they don't inform you about Archipelago Pass? About the creations coming soon of a regional park, because your mayor adopt a fund for that? Did they do a great job? So your manager tell you they do a great job. She knew, in fact, that one of the city councilor was out for 5 months, and she never raised that problem at any municipal meeting, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, just let me know. Another one was missing a lot of assembly too. Did she raise that? Did your city councilor raise you that? When the citizens asked questions, they was laughing at them. They was laughing at the 2 citizens of Magdalene Island who go ask questions. They point them with their fingers. And you think they do a great job, Mrs. Lemieux? Think twice.
Une poignée de citoyens, en fait, mais qui prennent toute la place au niveau.
She said, a small group of people, a poignée de citoyens, which is count with your hand, take all the space. But in fact, she knows for sure that close to 100% of citizens signed a petition. Could we call that a poignée de citoyens? A handful of citizens? Could we call that? So she tried to mislead people right away here as a city manager. She should mention that to the news person. We got a petition with close to 100% of the people. And why people, how a battle starts. I give you a things that you well know, Erin Brockovich in the United States. Erin Brockovich raised a problem of contamination of waters supply. She was a single person who raised that problem. And then a bunch of people follow after. Is it that mean that you cannot be a whistleblower? Did she tell you cannot be a whistleblower? And who do the whistleblowing of Roxham Road? Me, André Lafrance, as a city councillor. I was in newspaper saying so. I call newspaper to come in Saint-Bernard to see what's happening at Roxham Road. That $25 million contract that we find out with research was given to people of Saint-Bernard to host those refugees. Who disclosed that? The problem, with the mega pig farms in Saint-Bernard, one person, one woman disclosed that, and then after all the people joined together. That starts with an handful pack of person, but it ends up with all the municipality, which in your municipality, Mrs. Lemieux, close to 100% signed a petition. And don't tell me it was not one of the reasons why your member of the city council resigned. It was one of the reasons. Archipelago Pass was a political decision, a very bad political decision. The fact that we don't want to explain it, the fact that it was not translated in English for the English community, which the maritime community should understand that one of their members have a statute that said that they are bilingual, so you should do it in English for themselves. Oh, you said that we will try to do it. Is it done yet? No.
Au niveau social. Donc.
And just to let you know, those municipalities who have dual, status, English and French, get that by Quebec government. That's the law. And you must follow the law. Period. Time out, period.
Oui, au niveau du conseil municipal, ils se font beaucoup valoir et entendre. Oui. Certains sont très vocales, si je comprends bien. Et
so, certains sont très vocales. She said some are really vocal. No example. So that journalist just tried to think the people who listen at that it was going very bad in your meeting. Mrs. Lemieux, did you tell her that it was not going sour? No, you just shut your mouth and you let her going that way. You should have said, no, it was not so bad.
Et pour ces raisons-là, c'est vraiment dans l'ensemble des démissions, ce sont ces raisons-là qui ont fait en sorte qu'elles ont décidé de partir. Hein. Ce sont les
So she said that the reason why they quit is because people was disrespectful. No, the reason why they quit is because of their bad decision. And one of them was forced to quit by municipal affair, by commission municipale, because she was not attending since October 2023 to March 2024. 5 months without being there. That's not because people was disrespectful. It's because the city councilor doesn't follow the law. Period.
Sont les insultes parce que c'est par là que ça passe, je crois.
Ben, je peux pas dire que c'est seulement ça. Je pense qu'il y a d'autres facteurs. Puis l'un des facteurs, c'est cet épuisement aussi.
She said there is other factor, but what was those factors? What was those other factors? She will clearly ignore them.
D'avoir dû tenir la municipalité vivante malgré les embûches.
She said all kinds of affirmation that mean nothing to people. Put their municipality alive. Try to keep it alive. What does mean? That's mean nothing.
Comme vous et moi, comme quand on fait un travail, quand on s'implique, quand on n'est pas reconnu pour notre travail, ben ça nous démotive.
Look, no one complained in that Grosse Île place till the Archipelago Pass. So don't say that they will not known for their works, which is not true too. You have to go back in past and said till we have Archipelago Pass, everything was running smooth. But then people get upset by Archipelago Pass and all other knickknacks point out, like the roadway is not maintained and stuff like that.
Non. Donc,
c'est un peu vous, Carole Lemieux, qui allez tenir la municipalité à bout de bras pendant un certain temps. On va souhaiter que la démotivation ne soit pas au rendez-vous. Comment vous vous sentez avec tout ça?
J'avais un conseil extraordinaire, entre autres la mairesse Joy Davis était d'un très grand support.
She said that, yes, she have a good city council. Yes, we have no doubt about it. We have no doubt that Mrs. Joy Davy is a nice person, and every single woman in that council are a nice person. But at one point in time, one of them doesn't follow the law for being not at the municipal assembly, and others decide to follow the mayor in that bad decision of the archipelago pass that doesn't answer questions and just point out people who disclose the information and saying that was misinformation, which was not true. So people get upset for those reasons. But before that, everything was running smooth in Grosse Île. Everything was running smooth and business as usual, even without a directeur général. That's prove one thing. We don't need one, since we don't need one for 2 years.
Donc, je vais voir comment ça va aller.
But the law obliges municipality to have a city manager.
Et, comme je disais, c'est quelque chose d'inconnu pour moi. Donc, on va voir la suite.
Vous vous êtes embarquée dans toute une galère, Madame Lemieux. Je vous souhaite.
So now it's time to say goodbye, like we say. I hope that broadcast help you out in your understanding of what newspaper can try to do with you, trying to convince you of things never happen. So I hope that help you a lot, and make sure that you share that broadcast. Share it with your friend of English community throughout Quebec. So maybe that's gonna raise, some concern of other citizens of different municipalities in Quebec, and they're gonna start to go at their city council, which I tell you to do so. Not, at one time, being mad at the city council. Just listen, just take time to understand. And if you see something that you think is wrong and you're not sure, don't hesitate to call me. I will tell you if things that your city council does is legal or illegal, or if it's a good political or not a good political decision. But real people are really able to understand what is a good or bad political decision. I'm going to give you just one example in Montreal, when they decide to do all kinds of restrictions to traffic. Is it good political decision? Absolutely not. It creates damage to people who have to travel in those conditions. It create damage to citizens themselves without thinking that's create damage. Yes, of course, when you restrict the traffic, the pollution will be more. When you put speed bump, people stop and go. Stop and go. More pollution, more noise. If you want to really avoid traffic in downtown, you could create parking lot outside of downtown where people can park for free and travel with subways. We cannot replace the car everywhere in Montreal. That's a fact. But we could restrict the traffic. We could give opportunity to drivers to park and ride in mass transit. We could raise the price of parking lots. We could keep as much parking in downtown, but just raise the price. And people will take the subway. But in attacking people directly, in what they think is their freedom, their car, that's not a good idea. And I tell you, since I was able to park at Métro Sauvé, I was traveling all the time to downtown Montreal with the subway when I was living in Terrebonne. So now what they do, they make restriction all over the island. So people cannot even travel, cannot even park. And if they do have to do business, so who's paying for that? The business owner, the lawyer's office, the notary's office, the banker, everyone's paying for bad decision of your elect people. And you have the right to denounce that. Thank you very much for listening at me. I will come back with two great files in Magdalen Island, which is the Capitole de l'Est, that new building they want to build just close to you folks in Grosse Île. And those people of that neck of the wood, Grande Entrée, could share your own municipal, place. What was a great way to join people all together from Grande Entrée and Grosse Île. in a common effort to save money and share, infrastructures. If this infrastructure is really not good, which I doubt, it's maybe a great idea to share your thought about it. And the next one was about your city manager who answered a question of Nathalie Deras of Journal Le Radar. We will analyze and quote her all the time. Thank you very much, and pass on that video to every members of your community in Grosse Île. And one thing, the truth is only the truth. The fact is only the fact. But affirmation like we see in the article of the Radar, and affirmation in that newscast of Radio Canada, it's not facts. It's just affirmation without proof. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope you enjoy and share as much as you can. Thank you very much.